The woman is looking for her keys, when she hears a groan behind her. The woman was so scared that she opened the door and ran away, as the monster frantically chases her. Her colleague doesn't understand what has happened, and he is dragged into the room by the monster. The colleague rushed over to look into the room. He is so frightened that he doesn't know what to do. At that critical moment, Hunt arrived. As he opens the door, everyone is shocked. Hunt immediately sprays fire, and the monster that was about to be burned suddenly runs towards the pool. The monster tries to use the spraying mist to extinguish the flames on its body. Just when everyone thinks the flames have killed the monster, they are unaware that something even more terrifying is behind it. The story goes back to the universe 100,000 years ago. An alien spaceship is attacked. The culprit is an unknown creature. The spaceship crashed on the Antarctic continent. In 1982, a research team from Norway discovered a body of an alien creature under the Antarctic ice. Preliminary tests confirm that this creature has been frozen for over 100,000 years. Such a significant discovery excites everyone. They believe that this is one of the greatest discoveries of the 20th century. However, what no one expected was that this would lead to a disaster. In order to study the creature, the relevant personnel brings it back to the base. At this time, everyone neglects safety precautions, and they use a drill to make an opening. They cut off the creature's tissue for research purposes. That night, the monster suddenly opens its eyes and escapes from the base. As everyone tries to find the monster was frightened and dragged away a person. Everyone watches as their teammate is eaten by the monster. They finally react. They aim their guns at the monster and shoot, but after firing many shots, the monster remains unharmed. They have no choice but to use torches to ignite the gasoline barrels. Under the fierce onslaught of flames, the monster is turned to charred meat. They attempt to separate the remains of their sacrificed companion and dissect the charred remains. Soon, scientist Carter makes a significant discovery. The monster's and the human's bodies begin to merge. The deceased had lost an arm in life. The doctors had attached a titanium plate to him. The plate is separated out. Carter takes out tissue samples from the deceased and observes them under a microscope. She makes a shocking discovery. The monster's cells are attacking the deceased's cells. Afterwards, the two quickly merge and then rapidly replicate the deceased's cells. In simple terms, the monster can take on the appearance of anyone. This is like a plague. Anyone who has come into contact with the monster has the possibility of being infected. The next day, the pilot prepares to evacuate the injured from the base, but Carter discovered something strange. Several false teeth are scattered in the restroom. As she walks further in, he saw blood smeared all over the bathroom. At this moment, Carter realized that something has gone wrong. She remembered that they need to evacuate the injured today. Carter runs out of the base. She tries to stop the helicopter from leaving, but at this moment, the helicopter has already taken off. Carter desperately shouts from below. Fortunately, the pilot spots her. Although he doesn't know what Carter intends, he prepares to land anyway, and asks what's going on. Just then, an alien monster suddenly becomes enraged behind them. It sheds its disguise. Then, it extends its tentacles to attack the pilot. The plane goes out of control in an instant. The next second, seeing this scene, Carter and those around her are instantly shattered. Soon after, everyone returns to the base to discuss countermeasures. When Carter saw that the blood in the bathroom has been cleaned up, she realized that the monster has destroyed the evidence. So, she claims there is still a monster in the base. At this point, someone among them is disguised as a monster. They can take on human forms. However, the monster cannot replicate inorganic matter, which is why there are false teeth in the bathroom. Even though Carter shows the false teeth to everyone, they still think Carter is talking nonsense. Then, they go back to their own tasks. Seeing that no one believes her, she feels very helpless. At this moment, a female team member finds her. The female team member stated that she saw something this morning. Someone went into the bathroom and cleaned it up, but that person has already applied to go to another base. Upon hearing this, Carter realized that this person could be disguised as the monster. She must stop. this person from going to another base. Then, Carter and the female team member arrive at the security room. They prepare to take the keys, to prevent anyone from leaving. Just as Carter is about to grab the keys, a strange noise suddenly comes from behind her. Turning around, Carter is stunned by the monster in front of her. At this moment, the monster is approaching her. Carter hurriedly flees and runs out of the security room. At this time, a teammate arrives in the corridor to check the situation, but in the next second, the teammate is impaled by the monster. Quickly, the teammates hear the scream and rush over in that direction. When they see their teammate being brutally eaten by the monster, they are extremely shocked. Everyone is frozen in place. Fortunately, Hunt reacts quickly, charging in with a flamethrower. Hunt sprays fire at the monster. The monster is roasted to a char. After this incident, everyone believes what Carter has said. To determine if there are any monsters among the remaining people, the doctor suggested that everyone undergoes a serum screening. Just then, two shadows suddenly appear ahead. Carter and the others look at them in confusion. As the two approach, the group realize that they are the people from the helicopter earlier, but the helicopter has crashed. They couldn't possibly have survived. Hunt is a person of action. She suspected that the two are disguised monsters. Hunt immediately wants to kill them. Fortunately, Carter stops her just in time. She tells Hunt not to mistakenly kill their teammates, but to lock them up first and check their serum. The others find this reasonable. Just as the doctor is about to check the serum, the laboratory suddenly catches fire. The fire destroys the equipment. It is clear that the monster is afraid of being discovered and has deliberately set the fire. But now, they have no way to identify the monster. They are temporarily at a loss. Carter thinks of a solution. Because the monster cannot replicate inorganic matter, they can use this to narrow down their search. Soon, by checking for false teeth, they identify 4 suspicious individuals. Then, they send Hunt and another team member to check on the 2 in the warehouse. But when Hunt arrives, they find it empty. Hunt hurriedly searches. When she enters the next room, he is captured by an ambushing pilot. The teammate rushes back for backup, but at this moment, the others are arguing. Suddenly, they hear the sound of glass shattering outside. Those arguing come out to see what's happening. The pilot carries Hunt's flamethrower. Everyone sees this scene. They start to feel tense. They don't know if the person in front of them is a monster. At this moment, the pilot advises the other not to act rashly, while the person opposite has been incited. The flamethrower is about to be activated. When the pilot's teammate shoots the other person, the bullet passes through the head and hits the flamethrower. In the next second, after the explosion ends, everyone begins to clean up the aftermath. They carry the injured to a safe room. Just then, the people next to me began to doubt life. They are still in shock when the monster's severed limbs extend their tentacles. Then, it begins to rampage. Soon after, most of the people in the room are dead. Afterward, the monster begins to merge with humans, attempting to complete its parasitic process. Fortunately, Carter grabs the flamethrower. The monster fears flames the most. The moment it sees the flamethrower, it starts to flee in all directions. To prevent the monster from parasitizing the corpses, Carter burns all the bodies. Immediately after, she takes the pilot to search the base. They prepare to kill all the monsters. To eliminate the monsters, the pilot acts as bait, drawing all the monsters towards him. At this moment, Carter hides to the side and fires flames, turning all the monsters into charred remains. Just as the two are about to sit and rest, they saw the doctor driving away. It turned out that there are still some that slipped through the net. To prevent the monster from spreading to other areas, they quickly drive after him. When they reach the end of the chase, they find an alien spaceship parked here. They hurriedly go inside, but before they take 2 steps, the spaceship begins to shake violently. It turns out the monster has activated the ship. At this time, Carter accidentally falls down. When she wakes up, Carter realized that she is inside the spaceship. So she gets up and starts to explore. Just then, a monster approaches from behind her. Carter senses something unusual behind her, and quickly turns around to check. Before she can react, the monster lunges at her. Carter is frightened and starts to run, but the monster's tentacle grabs her ankle. In a moment of crisis, she remembers she has a grenade in her pocket. so she throws the grenade into the monster's mouth. In the next second, the monster is blown to pieces. The spaceship stops its activation. The crisis is finally resolved. Then, the two prepare to return to the base. Just then, Carter reminded the pilot that his earring is missing. The pilot quickly touches his ear, but Carter noticed he is touching the wrong ear. Carter suddenly realized that the person is disguised as a monster. She takes advantage of the distraction and aims the flamethrower at him. The next day, other bases send helicopters for support. When they enter the base, they found that it has turned into a wasteland. They search and discover that it is completely empty. The surviving Carter is nowhere to be found. Rescue personnel search for half the day, but they find no survivors. So, they prepare to leave in the helicopter. Just then, a dog rushes out from the base. Big Beard sensed that something is wrong. He and the pilot rush towards the dog, but the dog's behavior is cunning. Big Beard cannot hit it. The dog even stops in its tracks, as if to provoke them, and looks back at them. Then it continues to run wildly. Big Beard has no way to catch it. Before long, the two realized that they have chased it to a U.S. research station nearby. The dog has deliberately led them here. The pilot does not hesitate. He lands and pursues on foot. The dog sees the humans and lunges at them. Big Beard wants to throw a grenade, but he accidentally slips, and it falls by his feet. The pilot searches in the snow, but before he can find it, he is blown up. The helicopter is also reduced to ruins, but Big Beard has no time to focus on that, because the monster has already found the humans. He roars loudly, trying to alert the Americans, but due to the language barrier, the Americans cannot understand him at all. Big Beard raises his gun. He shoots the dog. The dog swiftly dodges. The shot hits an American in the leg. Big Beard rushes forward. The U.S. research station thinks it's a terrorist attack. They shoot Big Beard dead. The researchers take in the dog. Then, based on the clues from the plane, this should be a member of the Norwegian research team. Due to the seriousness of the situation, the communicator immediately calls the other party. But no matter how they try, the other side does not respond. Researcher Mike is worried that something has happened at the Norwegian research station. He prepares to fly the helicopter over to investigate. The little dog is very intelligent. It shows signs of not wanting to be restrained. It often wanders around the station. Meanwhile, Mike arrives at the Norwegian research station, but strangely, the building is emitting black smoke. When they enter, they found that it is a complete wreck. It is evident that it has suffered an explosion and fire. It seems the situation is very serious. They dare not be careless. They remain vigilant throughout. Then, they discovered in one room a body frozen like an ice sculpture. Upon examination, the body's wrists and throat have been slashed. What on earth happened here? They continue to explore further and find many documents and videotapes scattered on the floor. The doctor is very interested in these, saying they might find important clues. The doctor collects them. He prepares to go back to study them. At this moment, Mike discovered that the ice block with a hole drilled in it has something coming out from inside. At this point, the two have realized that they may not be welcome here. They prepare to head back, but as soon as they step outside, they see a charred corpse. To gather more clues, they decide to bring the body back to the research station. As night falls, the helicopter safely returns. The researchers come out to help move things. The little dog watches everything from the side. The scene shifts to the laboratory. As the doctor uncovers the shroud, the body is emitting a strange white smoke. A wave of blood and a foul odor assaults them. Looking at the horrific body before them, everyone can't believe their eyes. Such a creature cannot exist on Earth. To clarify the true identity of the monster, everyone makes a decision. That is to perform an autopsy. After the dissection, they found that the monster has two sets of human organs. They are developing into a bizarre form. The doctor is also unclear about what exactly is happening. At the same time, the doctor also conducts autopsies on the Norwegians, and finds that they are quite healthy. The scene shifts to the daily relaxation time. The little dog wanders in the recreation room. Some people are not welcoming to it. They call in the handler and put the dog in a cage, but he doesn't realize that this dog will destroy everything. Shortly after the handler leaves, the pack of dogs that had been resting suddenly becomes agitated. They awaken, fiercely staring at the new dog. Some even begin to bark furiously at it. If all goes as expected, an incident is about to occur. Then it extends its writhing tentacles and grows 8 large legs. The pack of dogs is terrified by the spider dog. The alpha dog sensed something is wrong. It keeps gnawing at the wire fence, desiring to escape. It is the first to be attacked by the monster. The handler heard the commotion and comes to check the situation. But as soon as he opens the dog cage, a frenzied sled dog bursts out. Then, seeing the scene before him, the handler is shocked. The monster's tentacles reach out toward him. Fortunately, the handler reacts in time and hits the monster hard with the iron door. He quickly shuts the door. On the other side, Mike also hears the screams. He immediately pulls the alarm. When everyone has gathered, Mike stands by the dog cage, holding a shotgun. The dog that has been parasitized by the monster no longer resembles its original form. It opens its gaping maw. The onlookers are stunned with fear. Then, the monster prepares to attack a small dog. Mike shoots at it, but the bullets have no effect. In a critical moment, David rushes in with a flamethrower. He aims the flamethrower at the monster. The high temperature is the monster's nemesis. After the monster is burned to death, the crisis is temporarily averted. Immediately after, everyone carries the charred remains to the laboratory. The doctor found clues during the autopsy. The monster not only harms and devours, but also has the ability to occupy the host's body. All cells within the host will eventually be consumed, and the monster will live in the world, in the form of the host. When parasitized, the host is completely unaware, because during this time, the monster does not harm the host, until it fully takes over the host's body. The pack of dogs in the cage not only provides nutrients for the monster, but also becomes part of the monster's body. With this revelation, everyone present understands why the 2 Norwegians fought desperately to kill that dog. The Norwegian research station has been completely wiped out. At this critical moment, no one dares to say the crisis is over, because it is still uncertain whether the dog that escaped when the handler opened the door was parasitized by the monster. Now, all they can do is conduct blood tests on the remaining dogs. Of course, this is not the end, because the handler had the most contact with the dogs, and is therefore more likely to be parasitized. He needs to be closely monitored. To clarify the nature of this monster, everyone begins to study the documents and videos brought back from Norway. Soon, they discovered something unusual. The Norwegians were digging something in the snow. They also used thermite bombs for explosions. From the scale and number, the target must have been a giant creature. After analysis and calibration to find the location of the Norwegian explosions, Mike decides to go look for clues. Upon reaching the target, he finds a massive object that does not belong to Earth parked in the pit. The spaceship has become wreckage. A group of people throws down a rope. They prepare to investigate. Soon, they realize that the monster is a type of advanced cosmic being. They arrived on Earth in their spaceship, and the doctor analyzed the thickness of the ice. 100,000 years ago, the spaceship landed here. Before long, they discovered a large pit left by the Norwegians, from where they extracted ice. At night, Mike and the others safely return to camp. They show the spaceship wreckage to everyone. Everyone finds it hard to believe. Mike believes that the monster is a dangerous parasitic race in the universe. After taking over the ship, they have been searching for signs of life activity. Ultimately, they set their sights on Earth. But during the journey, some malfunctions occurred, causing it to crash in Antarctica. Due to the freezing temperatures outside, the monsters could only attempt to repair the ship, while fighting amongst themselves for survival, until the last one remained. The monster realized it couldn't repair the ship, and could only try to find opportunities outside. It was frozen in the ice. Just recently, due to geological changes, it was only discovered by the Norwegian scientific expedition team. Mike's speculation does not match the design and craftsmanship of the spaceship. Everyone would rather believe that this is a biological weapon created by some nation than accept that it is a creature they have never encountered. The doctor gazes at the photos of the Norwegians and the ice block. He falls into deep thought. That night, he secretly takes a blood sample from the monster. The doctor conducts a simulated experiment on his own, and sure enough, he discovered that the monster's cells can consume normal cells and transform into the shape of the consumed cells. This shocks the doctor greatly. He realized that the most feared situation may have already become a reality. If this monster escapes Antarctica, it could lead to the extinction of life worldwide. To prevent this from happening, everyone ultimately decides to remove the body from the laboratory and store it in the warehouse. Kevin looks at the body and feels a sense of fear inside. Just as he steps away, the remains of the monster show signs of change. Soon after, Kevin takes the keys and prepares to patrol, but the scene before him fills him with terror. His teammate has already turned into a bloodied figure. He is ensnared by the monster's tentacles. He tells Mike what happened. When everyone arrived, the red-haired man and the monster are nowhere to be found. Mike looks out the window and sees the red-haired man running wildly in the snow. Everyone rushes outside to block the red-haired man. Seeing he cannot escape, he decides to stop pretending and raises his claws directly. Mike knocks over a nearby oil drum and ignites it with the flare in his hand. The flames instantly engulf the red-haired man, along with the alien monster. They are burned to a crisp together. As everyone witnesses this, they all understand in their hearts that once there is a first time, there will be countless more. The sacrifice of his teammate makes Mike realize the monster has a strong survival instinct. To prevent further casualties, everyone gathers the parasitic creatures together and burns them to ashes. The personnel on site, except for the doctor, are all gathered here. Since the doctor conducted the simulated experiment, he has been missing all day. Mike accidentally saw that the doctor is holding an axe. He emerges from the helicopter. The doctor hurriedly rushes into the communication station. Curious, Mike approaches to take a look. He would have been better off not looking. Mike is extremely shocked. The doctor is wildly hacking at the communication equipment in the room. All the devices in the communication station have been smashed to pieces by the doctor. Mike signals David to distract the doctor from the other side, but the doctor pulls out a gun and aims it at David and nearly hits him. He threatens everyone not to come closer and soon runs out of bullets. Mike grabs a wooden board to shield himself. With everyone's cooperation, they manage to subdue the doctor. Meanwhile, the handler looks at the sled dogs, who could not escape the monster's clutches. He is very saddened. To keep the doctor calm, they have no choice but to lock him in the confinement room. The doctor gives him a shot of sedative. After everyone leaves, he watches Mike, who is the last to leave. The doctor, with a worried expression, tells him, at this point, everyone is at risk of being parasitized. But the one with the highest probability is the handler, because he has the most contact with the dogs. Therefore, the urgent task is to find out who has been parasitized. Otherwise, everyone will die. The transportation and communication equipment have been damaged. They cannot contact the outside world. At this time of year, there will be no rescue teams coming. While everyone is unsure of what to do, the doctor comes up with an idea. He suggests using a serum testing method, because every team member at the research station has their blood drawn upon arrival and stored in the blood bank. If someone encounters an emergency, they will have backup blood of the same type. Thus, these blood samples can be used for testing. If there is a reaction, it can prove that the person has been parasitized by the monster. Everyone agrees this is a good idea. The security in charge of the sample room gives the keys to the doctor. Everyone goes back. When the group gathers there, they found that all the blood samples have been destroyed, but there are no signs of forced entry on the cabinet. Someone is trying to cover up the truth. This also means that there is a monster host among them. Everyone begins to suspect each other. Is it the security captain, the doctor with the keys, or the handler, who is most likely to be parasitized? The situation is very complicated, as everyone has the potential to become a monster host. The team falls into a crisis of trust. They even turn against each other. Fortunately, Mike steps forward. He urges everyone to calm down and not let the monster's plot succeed. After discussion, they decide to face the situation rationally. They prepare to first test the 3 individuals with the highest likelihood. However, Mike becomes increasingly worried that the camp may meet the same fate as the Norwegian research station. So as long as he is in the room, Mike takes the time to document what happens here. At the same time, he discovered that when the monster parasitizes, it first tears apart clothing, because the communicator once found some torn pieces of clothing. The tags were deliberately destroyed, which is why no one knows Who has been infected? At this moment, the blizzard has lasted for over 48 hours. They are unable to contact the outside world. Under the fear caused by the monster, everyone feels very heavy-hearted. As night falls, Dean is in his room, when he suddenly noticed a shadow flash by the door. He gets up and chases after it. Dean saw a torn shirt on the snow. Then, Dean disappears into the darkness. When Mike and the others realize that their teammate is missing, they begin to feel anxious. Mike instructs everyone to split up, leaving one person to watch over the three. He agrees with everyone that, in 20 minutes, regardless of whether they find anything, they will regroup here. Soon, Mike and the others find a charred corpse in an open area. Next to it is a piece of clothing and a pair of glasses. Perhaps this is Dean's remains. Mike speculated that, when the monster tried to take control of him, Dean could not endure the pain and set himself on fire. The group plans to return, but Mike notices something strange. When he left last night, the lights in the room were off, but now it is open. He tells Kevin to go back first and inform everyone about this matter, instructing him to stay inside and not come out. Mike takes Ian to the room to check what has happened. They had originally agreed to return in 20 minutes, but now that time has long passed. Everyone has returned, but Mike and Ian have not. They assume that the two have fallen victim to the monster. They plan to barricade the doors and windows. When a series of knocks are heard at the door, David opens the door to check, and it's Ian, nearly frozen. Ian informs everyone that he was originally following Mike, but got separated due to the blizzard. He lost track of Mike. However, in Mike's room, he found a piece of torn clothing, clearly marked with Mike's name. Mike has been taken over by the monster. Everyone believes him. Just then, the doorknob starts turning. Everyone feels a surge of fear. David says, "We can't open the door now. Even if there's just a slight chance, we must not let a tragedy occur." As everyone continues to discuss, suddenly, the glass in the adjacent room shatters. Everyone rushes over to check the situation, with David holding a fire axe. He strikes at the main door. Before long, David successfully opens the door. Mike comes rushing in, but he is clearly on guard. Mike holds a detonator in one hand, and a flare in the other, because he knows he has been framed, and is the most likely to be infected. But if anyone dares to make a move, he threatens to take them down with him. Everyone is taken aback. Mike tells David to lower his weapon, claiming he is not the host. When he asks where the others are, two teammates prepare to ambush. Mike is about to be controlled. They don't understand why. Mike seems to have gained immense strength. He feels that with just a slight push, he sends a teammate flying. Seeing this, Mike calls for help to rescue his teammate. Everyone must stay in front of him. Then he tells everyone that someone is trying to frame him, and assures them he won't do anything to harm anyone. But just as they prepare to assist the injured, a terrifying event occurs. The doctor just used a defibrillator to shock the injured teammate, when suddenly, a gash opens in the teammate's chest. The doctor collapses on the spot. The monster begins to reveal its true form. It transforms into a terrifying spider creature. Everyone is shocked and paralyzed with fear. Mike grabs the flamethrower and sprays flames at the monster. After a violent blaze, the monster stops writhing. Everyone thinks the danger has been averted. They grab fire extinguishers to put out the flames. Under such an attack, the monster is not completely dead. It abandons its charred body. The monster separates its head. Taking advantage of everyone's distraction, the monster tries to slip away. But this time it does not succeed, because Mike shoots at it again, and completely destroys it. Since the monster does not kill its own kind, Mike is cleared of suspicion as well. However, Mike believes that there is more than one person who has been parasitized. He fears that another tragedy may occur. Mike comes up with a plan to tie everyone up with ropes, and then conduct blood tests. But this raises complaints among the group, because if someone mutates at this moment, everyone will just have to wait and die. But Mike believes in himself. He forces everyone to comply with his orders at gunpoint. The handler has long had a grudge against Mike. He tries to ambush Mike. Mike reacts swiftly, and shoots the handler dead on the spot. This serves as a warning for everyone else. Mike begins taking blood samples to test whether anyone has been parasitized by the monster. In fact, this method is simple and effective, because high temperatures are the monster's nemesis. Therefore, all they need to do is take some wire, heat it in the fire and place it in the blood. to find out the truth. Mike asks Kevin to assist him. Of course, they also have to undergo testing. Kevin is the first to step up. He passes without any issues. Then Kevin takes the flamethrower in hand, standing by to keep watch. Mike follows soon after, and proves his own innocence. Next up are the doctor and the handler. After confirming that both are fine, David mocks Mike, claiming that Mike is killing innocents indiscriminately. But Mike knows very well that saying such things now is pointless. The security captain starts to doubt Mike. At a critical moment, the blood in Mike's hand suddenly erupts in a violent reaction. The blood turns out to be from the previously silent Baron. He begins to reveal his true form. Mike prepares to fire at him, but the flamethrower malfunctions, and those tied up next to Baron scream in terror. The monster leaps to the ceiling. Mike yells at Kevin. Kevin finally reacts, but it's too late. The monster has already opened its mouth and bites down on Kevin's head. Everyone is in shock, not knowing what to do. In a critical moment, the flamethrower in Mike's hand returns to normal. He aims directly at the monster and fires. The monster, in pain, tries to escape. Mike cannot afford to hesitate, and chases it outside, using a grenade to finish it off. Kevin, infected by the monster, cannot be left alive. So, Mike gives him a merciful end. After what just happened, the others choose to accept it. Fortunately, the final tests turn out to be good. However, at this moment, there is one person who has not been tested. That is the doctor in confinement. As long as he is fine, this crisis can be resolved. Mike tells David to stay here, to prevent the charred body from not being fully dead. He and a few others gear up to conduct the final test on the doctor. But to their surprise, when they arrive at the confinement room, they found that the doctor has already disappeared. One strange thing is that the door was locked from the outside. Thus, the doctor couldn't have escaped. However, upon inspection, they discovered a hole in the floor. Everyone begins to pry open the floorboards. They find a secret passage below. At the end of the passage is a UFO. At this point, everyone realized that the doctor has been going back and forth to the helicopter and smashed the communication equipment. His goal was to make everyone think he was insane, so he could secretly steal parts. If he completes the UFO, he would be free from constraints. The group decides to blow up the UFO. Meanwhile, Ian, who was on lookout at the door, saw David leaving the camp with a gun. Everyone is confused by this. The lights in the camp go out, and Mike feels a buzz in his head. The monster has destroyed the generator, and soon it will freeze them to death. The monster can survive by hibernating, waiting until the rescue team arrives, or other explorers find it, and it can regain its vitality. Everything that has happened before may become a cycle. At this point, everyone has made up their minds. Since they can't survive anyway, the monster shouldn't think it can live either. They plan to perish together with the monster. First, they use explosives to turn the UFO into scrap metal. Then they set fire, preparing to burn down the entire camp. This way they can kill it with high temperatures, and also expose the monster's location. After blowing up everything, they run to the underground power room. They split up to plant the explosives. When the doctor appears behind the security captain, he grabs the captain's face, preventing him from making a sound. Then the doctor devours him on the spot. Ian saw someone being dragged away. He wants to step forward to check, but Ian also disappeared. After Mike finishes setting up the bomb, he tries to ask about the others, but no one responds. Mike realized and became alert to his surroundings. Mike ignites the explosives in his hands, but in an instant, the floor collapses like a landslide. As something rushes toward him, Mike tries to dodge, but accidentally falls to the ground. The bomb falls as well. The monster's tentacles emerge from the ground, wrapping around the detonator and pulling it away. After doing this, the monster no longer wishes to hide. It wants to eliminate the last threat. After a roar, a dog's head emerges from the monster's body, but it is too naive, underestimating Mike's courage and strength. Mike grabs the bomb and throws it onto the monster. He barely escapes just in time, as flames engulf the area behind him. Soon, the entire research station is engulfed in a sea of fire. Everything has come to an end. Mike sits on the ground. He takes out a bottle of liquor, when suddenly, David appears as well. David says he just spotted the doctor's figure. David wants to pursue him, but he gets lost in the blizzard. After seeing the flames, he manages to find his way back. But from Mike's expression, he does not believe anything David says. At this moment, both are exhausted of their last bit of strength. They do not wish to continue with suspicion or conflict. They sit down on the ground, watching the distant flames. If they are still human, they can only sacrifice themselves in the end. But if it is not the case, then it would lead to another outcome. From the setting of another film, The Thing prequel, David is most likely still human, because the earring on his ear cannot be replicated. However, Mike has a higher probability of being the monster's host, as he offers the bottle of liquor to David. This is a gesture of goodwill. Perhaps it's because he is afraid of the flamethrower in David's hand. He suggests that they should stop the suspicion between them. Why not take a break like this and observe what happens? Mike does this, perhaps to buy some time. Once he regains his strength, he can consume David. In Dean's previous experiments, he had informed Mike that the monster can spread its cells through water sources or food, thus achieving the purpose of parasitizing others. It is unclear whether this was intentional, but the close-up of the water container echoes with the image of David raising the bottle. This suggests that Mike may realize his parasitism of David through this method. Thus, he reveals a smile in the end. But all of this remains speculation. At this point, the story comes to an end. The Thing was released in 1982. The film tells the terrifying consequences of losing trust among humans through the bizarre experiences of an expedition team. In the complexities of human nature, nothing is more characteristic than uncertainty. The dark side of human nature is also the most terrifying thing in the world. This film is one of the few classics in sci-fi horror. My biggest takeaway is, don't trust others easily, because although the Thing is just a monster in the movie, it also shows that each of us has a dark side within. I highly recommend everyone to watch the original film. That's all for today's commentary. If you enjoy my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Your support is the greatest encouragement to me.